Hello everyone, welcome back to the Dabble Lab channel. My name is Rahul and I'm back with another Alexa tutorial video this week. The topic for this video is how to use your personal AWS resources with an Alexa hosted skill. So if you have built skills in the past and if you have used Alexa hosted as the backend for them, then you must be aware of the limitations that comes with Alexa hosted skills. One of the limitations is that you only get access to one S3 bucket and one DynamoDB table. While that may work fine for most use cases, but sometimes you might feel the need to use maybe two DynamoDB tables or use any other AWS service with the Alexa hosted skills. So how exactly can you do that? This video is focused towards that, and I'll now be demonstrating how you can do that using a template from Dabble Lab. So let's see how it's done. To get started, let's start from the Alexa Developer Console, and this is the home page once you log in. From here, click on Create Skill and get started with the skill creation. Give the skill a name. I will name it template 58 and the language would be English US. You can use any English language for any region that is present over here. The template supports all of these regions, and the backend would be Alexa hosted Python. On the next page, we will be asked to, what we'll be doing is we'll be importing the skill code from a GitHub repo. And to do this, let's go to our GitHub page, which is github.com/dabblelab. And if you are not familiar with our GitHub page, then I would recommend you check it out. Over here, you can find many Alexa skill templates that you can use to build some interesting use cases on Alexa. You can find skill code for both Python and Node.js languages here. So if you are a developer and use any of these two languages, then feel free to check out our repos and maybe use them to build some interesting Alexa skills. So the template that we are going to be using for this video is template number 58, which is Python AWS DynamoDB example. And what I would do is I would copy the URL of the template from here. You can also find the URL of this template in the description of this video. So just copy the URL, go back to this page and click on import. Now this process will take a minute or two, so I'll just fast forward this to save our time. Once the skill is deployed, you will automatically be redirected to this page where you can see the success messages on the right hand side over here, which confirm that the skill was successfully deployed and everything, the build and everything was completely successful. So next thing that you need to do is go to the invocation section, and over here change the invocation name to whatever the name of your skill is. In this case, I'll name it template 58 and I'll say one click and build model. This is an important step, and at times people miss it, and then when they are trying to test out their skill, they tried using the same name that they gave to the skill, but it doesn't really work. So if you're one of them, then just make sure that every time you deploy a skill using a GitHub repo, you just check the double check the invocation name and change it again. Alright, while this is getting the build is getting ready, let's check out the code section. So before diving deep into the code and understanding how exactly things are happening here, there are a few things that we need to do. So right now, this is a simple, Alexa hosted skill, and its backend is nowhere connected to an AWS, service. But the example that, the example service that we are using over here is a DynamoDB table. So what we need to do is, first of all, we need to create a new role in AWS with the set of permissions that we would need. Basically, what that role would do is establish a connection between the Alexa hosted backend and AWS services. The second thing that we'll need is a table name. So both of these things you can see right over here. So we need these two values. Once we have these values, our skill will be ready for deployment and testing. So I'll show you where to get the first value, the role ARN from. So let's open up the AWS management console. If you're not familiar with AWS, then you can just Google search Amazon AWS services, and you'll find the link to the AWS management console. And once you make an account and log in, the page would look something like this. Over here you can find a whole list of AWS services that they offer. The service that we are looking for is called IAM. So just go to the search bar on the top of the page and just select IAM from here, and in the list of services you will see the service named IAM. So just click on it. So once this page loads, you will see the roles option on the left hand side. So just click on this option and you'll see a button named create role. So what we are trying to do here is, as I told you before, we are trying to create a new role and give it some required permissions. So it asks for a use case. So first of all, from the top 4 options, let it be the default one and make sure it is AWS service. Under this, there would be something called choose a use case. So over there, choose a common use case. For this example, I'm selecting Lambda, but you can select any other service as well. Ideally, this should work, but I found it to be working if I select Lambda, so I would prefer you go for that as well. And click on next. On this page, we need to attach a policy with our role. So since we are using this example for DynamoDB, so I would create and attach some DynamoDB policies. So if you just search for DynamoDB, you'll come across this policy which is called Amazon DynamoDB Full Access. Just select it and click on next. Leave this page as it is and click on next again. Over here, you need to give this role a name. So I have named mine Alexa hosted Lambda role. You can name your role anything. Just remember the name for reference and give it a description. So I would give it a description which says allow Alexa hosted skills to use AWS services. Right, because that is what we are trying to do here. And once you have done that, just click on create role. And you will see that a role has now been created. So just click on that role and you will reach this page. Over here you will see several tabs. Click on the second tab, which is named as trust relationships, and on this tab you will see this button which says edit trust relationship. Just click on it and you will see such an editor. In this editor, what we need to do is we need to replace this word service to AWS, and the value of this service would be something that we would fetch from our Alexa hosted skill. So let's go back to the Alexa hosted skill, and over there on the top you will see an option which is called AWS integrate. So just just click on AWS integrate right on the top, and this pop-up would appear. So just copy to clipboard whatever lambda role ARN appears over here, and then go back to the previous page. And paste it right here in the value section of AWS. And once you've done that, just cross check if everything is fine and click on update trust policy. Once the trust policy is updated, your lambda role ARN is now ready to be used with the skill. So on the top you will find this role ARN. Just copy this role ARN and go back to your Alexa hosted skill. So here you see that the first option that we needed is a role ARN. So simply replace the text inside the quotes with the ARN value that we just copied from the previous page, and it should look something like this. Once you have done that, the next step that we need to take is we need to create a new DynamoDB table that we'll be using with our skill. So let me take you through that process as well. For that, again, we'll go back to the AWS management console, and from here again on the search bar, this time you need to type DynamoDB, and the DynamoDB service would appear. Just click on the service and wait for the page to load. So over here, as you can see, I don't have any tables as of now. So I will just simply click on create table and start by creating a new table. The name of this table would be Alexa hosted table, and the partition key would be user ID. So this partition key is very important. This is basically a unique key for each set of values that your table would contain. And whatever you name this key over here, just make sure that your skill code uses the same partition key name, because if this name is different, then you can have some mismatch issues. I'm just telling you because I've faced this in the past, that I didn't keep it in mind while creating the table, and I was using this template, and all of a sudden things were not working. So later on I realized what the problem was. That's why I'm sharing this small tip with you, that whenever you're creating a new table, just make sure that the primary key used with the table and the primary key specified in the code are both the same. Alright, since now we've given it the name user ID, I'll click on create, and a new table will be created shortly. So while the new table is created, go to the items section, and you will see that the table is right now it is empty and it contains no items. So what we need from this table as of now is the name of the table. So I'll just copy the table name and I will go back to our previous page, or I'll go back to the Alexa hosted skill, and in the code section the second option was to give the table name. So again, inside the quotes I would just simply replace the placeholder value with the name of the table. And once we've done that, we are almost set, and what we need to do is we need to deploy the skill code. So I'll simply click the deploy button and the process would start. Once the deployment process completes, we will try and test the skill. So I'll just invoke the skill and give it the first command from the console, and then using my Alexa device, I would show you how it is changing values directly in the DynamoDB table. So now the skill is deployed. Let's open up the test console. So select development from here, and over here just write open template 58.
Welcome to the AWS DynamoDB example template. What's your name?
I would say my name is Rahul and press enter.
Rahul, I have successfully saved your name. You can now ask me to update or delete it. What would you like to do?
Now it says that it has successfully saved my name. Let's go back to our DynamoDB table and cross-check this information. And as you can see over here, our DynamoDB table now contains a value called as Rahul. The user ID was the user ID for for a unique user that was created for the test, and here's the name. So now I'll actually go ahead and give you the demo, a different kind of a demo using my Alexa device, so that you can see the values changing while this skill is being accessed. Alexa, open template 58. What is my name? Update my name to Steve. Delete my name. Stop. So as you guys saw, what we did was we gave it a new entry and it populated the table. Then we updated the values and it did that as well. And finally we deleted the value and it successfully did all of those operations. So let's now go back to the code and see how exactly is this being executed. So in the code, if you just scroll down, then you will reach the launch request handler. Inside of the launch request handler, you can see that what we have done is, first of all, we have populated this variable value, which is the user ID value, and we are taking the user ID which we receive from each Alexa request and using it as a primary key. What we are trying to do over here is we have defined a try and accept block, and this is we are using a try and accept block because if the command to write or read data from the table fails, then ideally we want to have a fallback mechanism and we don't want the skill to give out an error. So what it is trying over here is, it says response equals table.getItem, and inside of this is the command. So if you're not familiar with the commands that are used to read and write information from DynamoDB, then I will link the resources down in the description section. You can go there and you can check out all of these things in detail. This is the very basic command, so I feel I don't need to explain it in much detail over here. So what it is doing, it is specifying the user ID, and once the user ID is specified, it tries to fetch the details related to this particular user ID. So basically it is passing this primary key and trying to get all the values which are associated with this key. If it finds this key inside the table, that means that data exists and it will try to fetch the user name from there. And if it is not the case, then it would fall back to a message which would treat the user as a first time user and then simply ask for their name. So the second intent that we're using is where the user specifies their name. So when I said my name is Rahul, this intent was triggered, and again you can see that we specified the user ID from the session and we picked up the username from the slot value, as you can see in this line. Then what we did was, in the last intent, we tried to fetch the item. So we used table.getItem, but over here we are using table.putItem because we are trying to write data to a table this time. And in order to write the data, we need to pass the user ID, which is the primary key, and the any other value that you need to store in the table. So this time the value is the username. So I'll simply pass the variable name as, the column name as username, and the value what I got from the slot value. So once this code is executed, as you just saw, it writes a value to the DynamoDB table. The next intent that we have is an intent again which simply fetches the name from the database. So this is nothing but get item. This is the update name intent handler. So when I said change my name from Rahul to Steve, what it did was, again, it picked up the slot value from whatever I said. It picked up the slot value Steve, and what it did was it used a command called table.update item. So using this update item function, what you need to do is you need to once again pass the user ID. So as you can see, the user ID remains constant throughout all our function calls related to DynamoDB, because it is kind of a necessity. This is what makes makes the code understand which value exactly you're trying to manipulate. So this is again just a piece of code which is used to update the values in a DynamoDB table. So I've just set the update expression to value 1, and value 1 is username, which we are getting from the slot value. On the same lines, the last one that the last function that we have is the table.delete item. And over here you simply need to pass the user ID, and whichever user ID you pass, it deletes all the values which are related to that particular user ID. So make sure if you're using it to delete an item, then you really want to delete all the values related to that particular user ID. If you're just trying to delete some values, then I would recommend you either rewrite overwrite the table values by omitting the values that you don't need anymore, or just use the update expression, because that is a better way to do it. Yeah, so with this we come to the end of the video, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this and were able to learn a few things from it. If you liked it and you learned something from it, then don't forget to hit the like button down below. And if you're new to the channel, then please subscribe to our channel, as it helps us understand that more and more people are liking our videos and want more of such content from us. It really motivates us to make more such exciting content. And yeah, that's all from my side for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.